The following is a quarantine recording presented to you in around sound. It was recorded with whatever was lying around.
Lady don't take no shit, insist on respect the sister, walk around acting womanish. She won't speak unless it's something worth saying, don't play. The girl take herself so seriously, people stare curiously. She got a natural way, her hips sway furiously. Yeah, the luxuriously, carries herself like the cutest, most prettiest thing you see this side of the bay.
Hey, this is Lady Don't Take No, your weekly roundup of all of the real and none of the fake. I'm your host, Alicia Garza. This show is pro-black, pro-queer, proudly feminist, and pro-do-what-you-like. Every week, you're going to get the best of what goes on in my head, what we lovin' on and what we hatin' on, what we might be and what we ain't gonna do. Politics, pop culture, why and how white guys are getting radicalized and shooting up shit all over the nation. We cover it all. We are recording from Oakland, California, the center of the known universe, where we are dealing with Rona and Reconstruction. It's a challenging time, a changing time. It's a time of transformation. Shit, it's all the things all the time nowadays, but we're going to help you understand the dynamics of this time every single week. So be sure to tune in, tell a friend, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Please. Thank you. Appreciate you. We do it for the culture, so the pod is free 99 because we know that with a country in chaos, the least we could do is keep you from putting your money anywhere else than where it's needed.
She ain't no innocent Hello Kitty chick. She's committed sins and ain't finishing. But because of her disposition, she ain't subject to criticism.
Our guest this week is an award-winning political journalist focused on issues of race, gender, and politics. She is a founding mother, and editor at large for The 19th, a nonprofit, nonpartisan newsroom covering the intersection of women, politics, and policy. She's also a contributor on MSNBC, and she was the national writer on race and ethnicity for the Associated Press. As I always say, timing is everything, and she is right on time today. Please, please, please welcome Errin Haines. Hey, Errin, what's good?
Oh my God, Alicia, the tables have turned. I cannot believe that I am up in here, but I'm super excited to be in the building. So let's get to it.
Let's get to it. And you know what? I'm about to talk about you too, because you're right. The tables have turned, and usually you are on the other end of this microphone, honey. So
I am.
I'm going to enjoy my little moment here. But
wow. Okay.
But before we start, let me just jump in. I got to ask you, because I've been asking everybody, because even though the vaccine is starting to flow like a mighty stream,
yeah,
we still supposed to stay 6 feet until everybody get herd immunity. Okay, so that means quarantine your ass. What has your quarantine life been like? And have you...
Somebody tell Miami, Alicia. I mean, like, can we... these pictures are giving me anxiety.
I seem to, and then I had to put the phone down and I had to tip it over because I was like, I can't... As much as I want to twerk, okay, I'm going to need you to remember who Miss Rona is, okay?
The Ponderosa is not on spring break. That's all I can say. It's not.
The Panini says, sit your ass down. So here's the deal. What has your quarantine life been like? And have you developed any unique habits, live and direct, from Miss Rona?
Yes. Okay. So pandemic life. I have been in the state of Pennsylvania where I live for the past year, have not left the state, have not seen my mom. I actually just had a birthday, my second pandemic birthday.
Yay, yeah. Happy birthday, boo.
Well, thank you. And I mean, look, last year for my birthday, it was like one of the first things that happened after lockdown. And, you know, I had a couple of friends kind of socially distance me dinner. And I thought, oh, well, you know, this is not the worst thing. But surely, you know, this time next year, I won't be having a pandemic birthday. And then I was. And so that was kind of a bummer. But I mean, look, hey, I'm still here a year later. Right. And there are, you know, 500,000 plus people who aren't. So there's that perspective. But no, I mean, I have not been playing with the pandemonium at all.
Thank you.
The number of people that I have seen in person, face to face, you know, I can count on one hand for sure. And we were masked up, and I am certainly eager to get my vaccine, although it is not my turn yet here. But I am thrilled because my mom, who I have not seen in a year, is now fully vaccinated, like literally as of today. She texted me and was like, free at last. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't know what that means exactly. You need to still be at the house. But yes, you are vaccinated.
Cut up.
No, mom is not. She's not going. Where is she going? The senior center?
Maybe.
But the senior center is a turn up. Like we could do a podcast out of there
That's
every
what I'm
week,
saying.
because there's a lot going on, baby, with them arts and crafts and drama.
Listen.
It's a lot going on. So I don't want her over there right now. But no, like she's fully vaccinated. So that is just very encouraging for me. And just as anybody that I hear about getting vaccinated, frankly, I am just like, yes, we are one step closer to hopefully being up out of this piece. Because look, I love my apartment, but shit.
Okay. It's a lot. Okay. I'm tired of these four walls.
I miss outside coffee. I miss, whatever. Like it's not a game. I really have not been out of here. I went to dinner for my birthday and I wore real shoes. And it was just kind of like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like
what
these are not
it
was not my fuzzy slippers that I've been living in for the past year. But definitely because I'm not buying things like bags. I'm buying nice ass pajamas that because I'm living, sweatpants. Maybe they're not the, Target sweat. Maybe I will spend $60 on sweatpants.
What I'm talking about.
I deserve, what I mean?
Understand.
So I stopped cooking for, whoever was doing, sourdough bread and that kind of shit. I mean, shout out to you. But it is exhausting to be in front of these screens I can't do it.
Real.
So whatever. When it's time to eat, that's one less decision I have to make. Me and Grubhub, me and Uber Eats, me and Caviar. We are down like four flats. Like they know me. Okay.
Listen.
They know me. My favorites pop up. I'm like, yes, come on back over here. It's fine. I feel no guilt whatsoever. Anybody who's feeling guilty about succumbing to takeout, let me just tell you right now, I'm going to free you of that. I release you from that guilt. You deserve. Order your tacos.
Treat yourself. Give us the scoop on your pandemic skills. In case we enter into the apocalypse, I got to know what you bring into the table. What you doing?
Damn. I might get left behind then. Shit, if that's what we're talking about. I mean, ordering shit on J. Crew. I mean, does that count? I don't know if that is helpful to you.
It does. You found Magic City Wings on Goldbelly. That's a skill.
Listen, my Instagram detective skills have really gotten very good in the pandemic. Like that is true. I will say that is a thing. I'm Amazon Priming the shit out of life. Like that's where I'm at. So I will be the logistics person that can acquire shit for us. Like if we have to go on the run, like I could do that.
Yes.
I feel like I could do that.
You know what? I want to be on your team.
Put me in the van. I'm ready.
If we gotta go on your team. What the fuck is going on in this godforsaken place? Okay, is it just like springtime finna be gun season, or what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, I've been asking that question about Philadelphia, where gun violence has been consistent in the pandemic. I mean, they have not taken a break here.
That's right.
And I couldn't understand that, because it's like, hello, like in addition to everything else we have to worry about, like there are people in neighborhoods that have to worry about getting shot and or killed. Because I mean, God forbid you are fortunate enough to survive, but then you've got to try to recover in this pandemic. Nobody wants to be in a hospital environment right now. Nobody wants to be out of the house going back and forth to do anything and potentially being exposed and whatever. And so it's just like, I mean, gun violence has been an ongoing problem in Philly, not getting the attention that, some of obviously these mass shootings get, because mass shootings always are the thing that gets people's attention, as opposed to like the daily, ongoing, unrelenting gun violence that we are not addressing as a country. But, I mean, it was last week, a week ago, we were dealing with a mass shooting in Atlanta. And now, less than a week later, another mass shooting in Colorado. It's like, really? Like the pandemic is still happening.
That's right. That's
right. But the pandemic of gun violence in this country is something that predates coronavirus. And I don't know if this country is ready to get to a new normal around that now. But, I don't know.
Well, Errin, I first met you just for our listeners here, when you were at the Associated Press.
You did.
And you used to harass me, honey. And you were good at it
appropriate.
too. You were good at it too. You were like, look, this Errin, I'm writing this story. And you know I'm not crazy, so pick up this phone. You see my number.
Basically, you know what it is.
You know what it is. Yeah, and you know how we do.
It was.
And look, something I always appreciated about you so much was that you were never about the bullshit. You were always just like, look, make it plain, because I know these fools is on one. Just make it plain. And when it came to the fuckery around race, police reform, presidential candidates, whatever, you were like, look, just keep it 100, okay?
I mean, look, yeah. I mean, because reporting on race in America, I mean, that was the job that I wanted like my whole life. Like since I'd been an intern at the Associated Press, like that was the job that I wanted, right? So when I finally got it, it was just like, you know what? Yeah, like we're going to tell the truth about who and where we are as a country, right? And so who are the people that I can get that are going to be truth tellers? And you were one of them. And so even though, yeah, I mean, I didn't know you, when I started hitting you up and reaching out, but I was like, you know what? No, like this is somebody who I am going to need to be talking to as we try to figure shit out. And I know that this is probably where you are too at this point. Like, we don't know, certainly we want, things to be different, for things to change in this country, particularly around Black lives. But, whether that happens or not, like, we're just going to tell the truth and we're going to leave a record behind.
That's right.
So that when people 50, 100 years from now, are looking back, they're not going to be unclear about what happened here.
That's right.
And what was going on.
Well, let me ask, though, because I think you're 100% right. We do have to leave a record. And we also have to correct the damn record, which is what I feel like 90% of our time is spent doing.
Listen.
And so I want to know from your perspective, having a long career in journalism, how do you approach this, especially as it relates to movement? There was a time, and I guess this time will be forever, but there was certainly a time before Black Lives Matter was cool, when there was just willful ignorance around movement and race and police violence and all those things. So how do you, as a journalist, make sure that the right stories are being told, that the record is being corrected? Like, what is your method around this that you could share for us?
Well, I mean, I think what I would say to that, Alicia, is that context just matters, right? Like we, like for too long, people were allowed to talk about this kind of shit in isolation, right? Like these were all isolated incidents instead of being on a continuum that we knew dates back to the origins of this country, if not the origins of civilization, right? So start there, in grounding all of this in the intersection of everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I will be honest with you. I mean, part of the reason that I left my former dream job for what is now my dream job as editor-at-large at the 19th is because we just felt like that was the fastest way to fix shit. Like to start over with the journalism fundamentals and foundation, but also with the realization that there had to be a new narrative around race and gender in this country, right? So like the 19th is named for the 19th Amendment for people who don't know.
Yep.
And if you've ever seen our logo, there's an asterisk at the end of it. And that asterisk was to recognize the omission of the Black women who were thrown under the bus when white women got their access to the ballot in 1920. And so like that asterisk for us is a reminder of that. It's also a North Star that kind of helps us keep in perspective at all times, like who is not being seen and heard in this democracy, right? But also like even last year, the centennial of suffrage, it's like, yeah, we could celebrate the centennial of suffrage, but we could also tell the truth about suffrage.
That's right.
And about the folks who were excluded and erased and frankly, not even present, right? Because they were going to end up having to fight for another half a century to get their access to the ballot. Black women, Native women who weren't even recognized as citizens of this country in 1920, Latinas and Asian women who, because of language barriers were excluded from the ballot. Like we have to talk about that. We can't just say, oh my God, isn't it amazing that 100 years ago, women got the right to vote? Well, hold on. Which women?
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. How did they get the right to vote? Who was sacrificed so that they could get this access to the we just have to tell the truth about that. And we can't worry about sacrificing the comfort of some, for the truth.
You've been in this for a minute, and I know that there are folks who are coming up after you who are looking to you as a resource, as a model. Do you have advice?
Girl, I guess.
I know for a fact.
Okay.
Do you have advice for up-and-coming journalists about the craft itself? Are there things that were standard when you were coming up that have been thrown out the window?
God, I hope
Gratefully so. Or are there things that were actually really solid that got whittled away to our detriment? Like, how do you explain where we are and where journalism is as a craft right now for people who are just coming into it?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a great question. And I think the short answer is both, right? So one thing that has changed for the better is that we have jettisoned that objectivity myth bullshit. Like, I hope that we have. I mean, I certainly have. I never really subscribed to it. And now I'm happy to see that we, in the midst of this national reckoning on race, which includes the institution of journalism, right? Which we certainly know has been complicit,
Correct.
in white supremacy. Like, we just have to say that.
That's right.
Right? That's not about making anybody feel bad. It's true. And
It's also, it ain't about your fucking feelings either. How about that?
At its core, journalism is about leaving behind the most honest and accurate record. So, like, if we're not going to do that around race, just because that, makes people feel bad, then what are we even doing? So anyway,
That's right.
Yeah, objectivity, forget it. Because when your default setting is being white and male, of course, we're going to talk about objectivity, right? But like the idea now that you can say to young journalism students, like, your lived experience is an asset to your storytelling, right? I tell them that it's your superpower. Like, it is the thing that allows you to see the stories that nobody else is going to see. And so being able to lean into that and embrace that, that is absolutely a good thing. I think the misinformation, disinformation piece, working to overcome that and to earn the trust of our readers, viewers, listeners, that is a thing that has somehow been lost as you have had, kind of the democratization of journalism that has also, frankly, muddied the waters a bit in terms of...
That was a kind way of saying it. The democratization of journalism. You mean this 5G-ass YouTube logic? Everybody is a fucking documentarian, journalist, organizer, political strategist. Don't get me started now. You was being nice.
You said it, not me. But that is why it is more important than ever to know, who it is that is practicing this work with rigor and with integrity. And, I think the bylines and the names of the folks who are doing this work are as important now as some of the outlets where they are doing that work. I think that is something that has become more true. And I think that is also a good thing. People are seeking out specific journalists because they have proven themselves people that whose work can be trusted and who, are coming at this earnestly and with integrity.
This last year, and really this last decade, if we're being honest, we've seen a growth and an expansion in our social movements. Women are on fire, Black folks on fire, and so on and so on and so on. Everybody on fire, child. You have been covering these movements throughout your career. And now that we're emerging from the dumpster fire that was Donald Trump, tell us, what do you see on the horizon? Is it all good? Is we in the clear? Or we got work to do?
No, I mean, absolutely not all in the clear. Listen, I mean, look, as you said, I've been at this for a minute. I mean, melanin is not betraying me, but it's true.
Seasoned
saint. Been doing this for a minute. And, at the beginning of my career, like I said, I'm from Atlanta. I was in Atlanta reporting. And, I was talking to a lot of the foot soldiers who were, in their twilight, frankly, on the other side of the movement, generations past the movement, and really thinking about the legacy of the work that they had done. And, what I thought was kind of the falling away of the last vestiges of racism, right? That is not where I am in my career now, right? We're dealing with the retrenchment of racism.
That's right.
And we are dealing with the threatening of a lot of those hard fought for wins of the civil rights era, right?
That's right.
That is not something that I thought that I would be doing at this point in my career.
Totally
it
true.
is not, talking to Black journalists who covered that era, they didn't think as my mentors, that they would have to be talking to me about this, not only to give me like a journalistic foundation, but for edification purposes for what I'm actually covering right now. They didn't, and that is disappointing for them. It's frustrating for them, and frankly, it's hurtful for them because they were thinking they were trying to speak truth to power and to really right wrongs and all the rest. So to be at this point is really it's really interesting. But what is also interesting about this moment, yes, you had the national reckoning on race last summer, but I think even before that, I think you're right. I mean, the last decade, you have seen Black people, especially Black women, really stepping into their power and saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm over this shit, basically.
That's right.
One of my friends who is from your area of California, as a matter of fact, her motto is, as a Black woman, fuck it, I'll do it. And I think that's what a lot of Black women say, because we get shit done, whether that is journalists or activists or politicians, whoever, like we get it done. So like, that is certainly something that the rest of the country has started to pay attention to a little more recently. That was what I asserted last year in the election, was that, Black women are, we're going to be the shapers of this democracy and the new framers in the ongoing American Revolution that they were not allowed to participate in, in the beginning, but are most certainly at the forefront of, as we speak. And so, I think now where we are, I don't know that everybody really understands just how committed so many of the folks that I talk to, folks like you, how committed folks are to real systemic change at this point. Like the incremental stuff that was happening before, it's not enough. And it's not what people voted for.
That's right.
People want these things addressed fully and finally.
And now,
yes,
we're tired of waiting.
Yeah.
We're tired of waiting, whether it's the gun control conversation or the police violence conversation or the wage conversation, of which we knew women took the biggest hit in terms of job losses, and Black women, especially just in 1 month, 150,000 Black women permanently out of the labor force.
Out of the workforce. Yeah, they're gone.
Let me switch some gears here, because I think what people listening don't know is that not only are you my sister in the movement, but you are also my sister in all things Intelli-ratchet. So of course, I have to ask you some questions on pop culture, if I may, my dear.
Oh hell, this is where my direct deposit is on the line, people.
No,
shit,
I kept it legit. You'll appreciate this.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
You will.
Now.
We'll save the rest for the happy hour. But here, let me ask you this: who's next on Red Table Talk? Or if we could cackle about this just one more time, because I will never get over how this white woman was an imposter until she was found out.
La Mesa Roja?
Who is next on Habla La Mesa Roja?
Oh, Lord. I think Stacey Dash may be headed to the Red Table. Don't know. She's on tour. She's on tour here. She went to Fox. She said mistakes were made.
She was angry.
Mistakes were made. And so maybe she is headed to the Red Table. Not sure. I could see that.
You think we'll see Van Jones on La Mesa Roja?
No, I don't think he's headed for La Mesa Roja. I don't even think Red Table is on the agenda. But
you think they'll have Ice Cube back? Because we ain't heard from him in a minute.
What would he be coming to Red Table? What would he be sorry for exactly?
I mean,
that's the real question. What is he sorry for?
I would just like a progress check on the platinum plan and that $500 billion that is owed to us. Okay.
Yeah. Where's the platinum plan?
It's right there with Donald Trump's jet grounded at LaGuardia. Let's move on. Tell me, what's the best versus battle thus far? And tell me what you think the next versus battle is that never was, but needs to be.
So look, I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, look, D'Angelo,
The chat was lit. Baby, that night.
That gave me more than I knew that I could handle. It was a beautiful evening. The Method Man cameo, frankly, sent me to the upper room.
But did it send you to the champagne room? That is the question.
Absolutely. I still think about when he first appeared on the screen at least once a week. Once a week.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of which, the Ghostface, that was a good versus. That just happened. That was a good look. Did love Patty and Gladys. That was good. That was definitely top 3.
That was real good.
I like the ones where there's clearly no animosity. It's just all good vibes, right?
That's right. No shade.
Vibes. Everybody loves each other. It's like, this isn't a competition. We both won. Whatever.
Like, we both winners.
The TIGZ, I'm from Atlanta, so clearly I was getting my entire life that night. That was the era of, back when I, didn't have respect for myself. We won't. We're running out of time. We can't talk about that. So who should be in a versus that we have not?
Oh, what about Foxy and Lil' Kim?
That should happen.
That should happen.
Will it happen? Probably not. Should it happen?
Probably.
So.
Okay, let me ask you this. Who are we replacing Kenya with on The Real Housewives of Atlanta? Because it's over for us.
Damn.
It's too much. It's too much.
None of them that's currently on the bench. We need somebody fresh. Who could that be, though?
I mean, fresh blood. Or should we bring Phaedra back?
No. No. Who has moved to Atlanta in the pandemonium that we don't know about? That is moved to Atlanta. Well, you listen. We full. They need to stop moving to Atlanta.
You understand?
And they definitely need to stop going to day parties. Hello. If my niece is listening to this, I better not catch you.
Okay. Don't let me see you out here in these streets.
I'm monitoring your social media. Do not go to grandma's if you have been turning up. Do not. She vaccinated, but I don't care. No.
Let me ask, what is the best show on television right now for you?
There's too much to keep up. You would think that I had time, or that we all had time in the panacea to just do, have all this leisure time. I'm busy as hell. I don't know about, we are busy. I don't have time. You know what? Have y'all seen this show on Netflix, Buried by the Bernards?
Oh,
are you aware of this?
No.
It's exactly what you think it is. Black folk in Memphis that own a funeral home. Jesus. All I'm going to say is,
I need it in my life.
Uncle Kevin alone is worth you watching this show. But everybody there, they're all characters. It's so good. They have a drive-through funeral viewing. I'm like, wait, what?
I cannot. This is too much for me.
No, it's ignorant, but it's good though.
Okay, this is my last rapid fire Intelli-ratchet question.
All right.
What is the best Ratchet album in your possession right now?
Look, it's springtime. I know you don't know nothing about that living in California, living on the West Coast, but
it's 70 degrees right now, honey.
You know what? You really don't have to rub it in. You just really don't. You don't have to do that. When the sun is out, it's time to act a fool.
That's right.
And that's really when this pandemonium is going to get real. Things are going to get tricky for folks. That's why we need to get these vaccines really rolling, because
like a mighty stream,
your people ain't gonna know how to act when the sun really does come.
They already don't.
The pandemonium don't care about your freaknik, your personal freaknik. Really doesn't.
Not at all.
Because stay with us, people. We almost there. But I feel like Rona has robbed us of some ratchet experiences.
Agreed.
WAP happened. We were on lockdown.
Like, where are we popping it? In the living room?
Nowhere. Yeah. On
Zoom?
On TikTok.
Is that what we're doing?
On TikTok.
Jesus.
It's not right.
Tell us what you have coming up with the 19th. And also, what can our listeners do to support the work at the 19th? Because we need more credible, relevant journalism out here. So what can we do?
Well, listen, I appreciate you saying that. We actually just hit our 1-year anniversary in January. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Anniversary in the pandemonium. So honestly, this was a journey that I started on, almost 2 years ago now. My now CEO, Emily Ramshaw, reached out to me, DM me on Twitter, slid up in the DMs, and was
slid
like,
in the DMs, yes.
I'm starting this newsroom, and here I was out here on the primary campaign trail covering 6 women a slew of diverse, candidates in this Democratic primary, and yet we're still saying the same shit as an industry around race and gender that was just totally not cutting it. And, and I knew, that wasn't a problem that was specific to my newsroom. It was a problem that was specific to political journalism, which has been too white and too male for too long. Mm-hmm. So, what do you do about that? Like, they already had a chance to hire, more diverse political journalism teams. That didn't happen. So, going into 2020, which I already felt even before the pandemic was going to be like the most consequential election I was ever going to cover, it was like, I want to be part of a team that is doing this right. Like, I want to look up on the day after the election and say, you know what, we told the truth about this shit. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like the best way to do that, again, was just to start over. And so there were 5 of us who were founding mothers of the 19th. And like I said, even from the beginning, from our inception, just being very deliberate about transparency and accountability and accuracy. We couldn't call this newsroom the 19th without putting that asterisk on the end of it. That's right? Because it's like, it's not enough to just be like, oh yeah, rah, rah, the 19th Amendment. It's like, nope. Like, we believe in the 19th Amendment, but like what the 19th Amendment should be for, everybody. That's right. And so, yeah, a year later, I got to challenge, bullshit like, notions of electability, as if, electability is not just about who we elect, as opposed to who gets to run and who should lead, and now you have, a woman of color is the second most powerful person in the country, like very much in our wheelhouse, right? And somebody who, I covered from the time her, she launched her presidential bid through the Veep sex conversation to now, her governing.
Don't be shy now. You had the first damn interview with her as Madam Vice President. So there's that on that.
That is true. And I appreciate you tooting my horn on my behalf.
You know what I'm saying?
So look, again, being a newsroom named for voting rights, like, we're absolutely not about the big lie. Like, we're going to tell the truth about voter suppression and about voting rights. And frankly, the women of color who are leading the charge to push back against that right now.
That's right.
Speaking of the vice president, I am writing a book about her and, the Black women who are seizing their political power and what that looks like going forward. So, yeah, you'll get a call. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, my friend. But yeah, look, when we started the 19th, obviously we didn't envision starting in a pandemic. But because we have been absolutely at the intersection of everything, like, I feel like we are a newsroom that has really resonated with so many of our readers, so many of our members, and that has been like deeply gratifying and affirming to me as a journalist, particularly as one who covers politics. Like, this just feels like my best and highest use now. So yeah, for people who are listening who want to know more about the 19th, 19thnews.org, 19thnews.org is our site. We have a free newsletter every day of the week. We are 5 days a week. We are publishing a daily newsletter, and then we also have a weekly newsletter that comes out every Friday. All of that is totally free and will get you caught up because you got other shit to do, and we are reading all the things for you and also doing all the journalism so that you can stay in the know. So if it's about gender politics and policy, we're all over it, and we would love for you to join the conversation, no matter where your ideological spectrum falls. Like, we are home for everybody, whether you want to live here or not.
And just like that, it's time for our weekly roundup of all the things Lady just ain't gonna do this week. Number 1, act like people ain't going around shooting up places. Y'all, this week in the news, we learned of yet another mass shooting. This time in Colorado, where 10 people were killed. The shooter was apprehended alive, likely because the police thought he was white, when in fact, he was not. Ahmad al-Aliwi Alisa, a resident of Denver, Colorado, who was born in Syria. His family said he'd become increasingly paranoid starting in 2014. He was also able to easily purchase a firearm. He was 21 years old, and he purchased guns just days before killing 10 people. So look, I'm not going to go on a whole rant about gun control. You've heard all those arguments already, and really, if we're being honest, there isn't and probably won't be gun control because Guns Gone Wild is a huge industry. And very little is possible in this realm because this Jim Crow relic called the filibuster is being used by the party formerly known as the Republican Party to keep absolutely anything of substance from getting done in Congress. This is how you know they ain't shit. On their watch, more than 500,000 people have died of COVID. They stood by while their own supporters smeared shit all over their own offices. And now, just in the last week, nearly 24 people were killed. And you know what? They plan to do absolutely nothing. Moving on to other things Lady ain't gonna do this week. Gunman ambushing National Guard convoys carrying the COVID vaccine. So I need you to know how these folks ain't gonna stop until they run this country into the ground. The headline here says it all, but let me say this especially to Black folks. I understand your hesitancy about the vaccine. I do. We like, well, who's all over there? And who is yo people? But let me say it like this. If white people trying to hijack the National Guard to keep you from having something that can provide you with some protection against this killer virus, don't you think this is something you might need in your life? Signed, you're fully vaccinated. I plan to be the last one standing. And if white folks don't want me to have it, that's the first thing I'm going for, Lady Garza. Other things we just ain't gonna do this week. White women doing white women things. Well, look, Meghan McCain did a thing my mama would have tisk about. She opened her mouth, was loud and wrong, and talked about the dangers of identity politics. This week on The View, McCain had another unfortunate viral moment when she, true to form, ridiculously, pointed out that The View, the show she's a co-host of, and we still can't figure out what makes her qualified, she was pointing out that The View had only ever had one Asian American host, but according to her, if the left was in charge, we would advocate to replace her. Well, we would advocate to replace somebody so that there could be diversity on the show. She also had the nerve to do the thing that white folks do. I call it the white folk jingle. And it starts with this. Martin Luther King wouldn't have. Ma'am. Any white person who talks to me about MLK won't be talking to me for long. I'm going to tell you that. You know, my favorite retort to this, we might have been lucky enough to know what MLK would have thought, felt, or said about things happening today if he had not been murdered by white people. So, for the white folks who are listening to this, don't be like Meghan. Lots of people like to quote King and talk about how he was for peace, which for y'all really means, please stop making me uncomfortable. And you know, King was actually all about making you uncomfortable because your comfort meant preserving racism. So every time you fawn over that peaceful man who never made you feel uncomfortable and is just so inspiring, could you also be inspired by justice? Because that's actually what King was about. So yeah, don't be like Meghan. Read an actual book. And if you refuse to do that, at least remember what my mama would have said. It is better to close your mouth and have people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and confirm it. Okay? Shout out to Lynette for that wisdom. Let's move on to things that Lady absolutely loves this week. Okay, I'm actually going to start the list off with something that I'm not totally sure where it goes, but for now, it's on the Lady Likes list, with the caveat that Lady reserves the right to bump it to the other list if we see some mess. Now, this week, President Biden announced that he is deputizing Vice President Kamala Harris to be the HBIC in relationship to the crisis at the border. This could really go either way, folks. On one level, we need somebody with some kind of sense trying to figure out how we stop putting kids in cages and deal with the root causes of migration rather than the symptoms. On the other hand, Lady thinks this could be a setup for Madam Vice President. I mean, this crisis ain't new, and it's exacerbated by zealots and cowards who are trying to make an ideological point rather than deal with shit, solve problems. You know what you're supposed to do when you're elected. If Madam Vice President is able to thread this needle right, it's possible that Joe Biden really will be a one-term president, and we just might see Madam President in 3 years. If she can't thread this needle, child, well, you do the math. I'm hoping it ain't a setup. So light your candles and get to organizing. Let's make sure this is an opening and an opportunity. Other things Lady loves this week, snowfall. It's finally getting good. Finally! I still think that Snowfall is one of the best shows ever to hit your screen. And truth be told, I miss John Singleton like a mug. But we finally have plot, and I'm here for it. Other things that Lady loves this week, good food. Now that spring is trying to do its thing, it's time to resurrect those recipes that make you feel good. This week, Lady's fave is salmon fried rice. Okay, so here's what you do. 3 cups of brown rice, always better the day after you make it. And me saying this is a big deal because I don't even like brown rice like that. Okay, take some salmon, cut off the skin, cut it into 1/4-inch pieces, give it some salt and pepper. You can be generous, and then pan fry it for about 1.5 minutes on both sides. Put that aside, chop up some green onions, a tablespoon or so of fresh ginger chopped, a couple of cloves of garlic chopped, some asparagus, some broccolini chopped into bite-sized pieces. Add a little bit of oil in the pan you just cooked the salmon in, like a tablespoon or 2, don't overdo it now, and 2 tablespoons of water, and then saute the ginger, garlic, white part of the scallions and the veggies. Do that all together. Cook it until it's a little tender, and when I say a little tender, I basically mean don't cook the shit to death. And then put that aside. Then you add a little more oil to the skillet, add those 3 cups of brown rice and let it get a little bit crispy, add some salt. Now push that rice to the side of the pan while it's still cooking, and then scramble up 2 eggs in the same pan. Mix it all together, but not until it's scrambled. Add the veggie saute and mix it up. Then add about a teaspoon of dark sesame oil and soy sauce. I used more than a teaspoon of soy sauce, but to each their own. I like my shit salty, so there's that on that. Add the salmon last, sprinkle it with the green part of the scallions, and do not forget the sriracha. It is so good. It's not heavy, it's delicious. Other things Lady loves this week, just announced, this versus battle gonna take me back to prom. And no, don't age me, but it's SWV going toe-to-toe with Escape. Lord Jesus, I cannot wait. I'm finna break out my baseball jersey and a low-cut tank top, some baggy jeans. I might rock the hat to match, but you just gonna have to wait and see. Errin, we love you so much. Where can people find you on the socials if they want to follow you and follow your work?
If they want to follow my work, if they want to hear me bitching about Peppa Pig, who I, hate watch on a weekly basis, I'm at eMarvelous on Twitter and on Instagram.
I love it. Thank you so much, Errin, for coming on. We're going to have to come back to this because we only scratched the surface.
I may need to. I may need to be the co-host. Shit, I may need a job after this. I don't know. No.
We ain't gonna hold you out there like that. If it's really set up like that, you always have a home here on Lady Don't Take No. How about that?
Listen, I love it. I love it. Y'all heard it here.
Well, that's it for Lady Don't Take No. But I'll be back here every single Friday morning to accompany you where you used to have a commute. We appreciate you joining us, and please, let's keep the conversation going. Tell us what's on your mind, tell us what you like, and tell us what you ain't gonna take no more of. On Twitter, we're at Lady Take. On Insta, we're at Lady Don't Take No Pod. On Facebook, we are at Lady Don't Take No Podcast by Alicia Garza. We post ways to do something about the things you hear about on this show all over our social media. So if we got you amped up today, check out the socials to find out how you can take action. And please give my sis Jahari Farrar, a special shout out for making sure the people get what they need from our socials. We appreciate you. Please subscribe and write us a review and let the people know what you've heard here today. We love reviews. I'm really not kidding, y'all. Help us get up these charts. Now, our fantastic producer is Phil Surkis. Our incredible theme is by Latyrix, and this pod is supported by the Black Futures Lab. I'm your host, Alicia Garza. Remember, if white folks want to hijack a National Guard convoy to keep you from getting what you need, it's probably something worth having. Stop quoting MLK out of context, especially if you don't have the range. Cook good food and take good care of yourself in the meantime. Oh yeah, and call your congresspeople and urge them to take the necessary steps to keep people from shooting up shit. And that includes us. Okay? Get rid of the damn filibuster. That's right, I said it, because lady don't take no.
Lady don't take no shit. Insist on respect the sister. Walk around like a womanish. She won't speak unless it's something worth saying. Don't play. The girl take herself so serious. People stare curious. She got a natural way. Her hips sway furious. Yeah, luxurious.